Hi, good evening, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well, and you are looking forward to the week off. Yay! Isn't everybody chuffed about that? I think everybody's been a little bit tired, and everybody's probably feeling a little bit yeah, we need a rest now. I think we all need a rest now. And I'm hoping that this next half an hour to an hour will help you to have a bit of a rest. Now, yes, I have got my tiara on. And the reason I've got my tiara on is because this is my 60th birthday tiara. And tomorrow is my 61st birthday. So I kind of figured this is the last chance I've got to wear this flipping tiara. So I decided I'd wear it tonight. So there you go. Because tomorrow I will be 61. I will not be 60 anymore. There you go. But what a year it's been. It has been a really good year. I have got a ton of books to share with you tonight, as I always have. I think I added it up to about 50. But as always, they do go from pitch books all the way up to adult books and the more grown-up books. So without further ado, let's get this presentation on the road. I will be starting off with the picture books. Now, I am always, as some of you do know, I am obsessed with the picture books, and I absolutely love them. And I've been sent some absolutely cracking ones in this past 6 weeks. So first one I want to talk about, Max and the Haircut. This is absolutely beautiful, and it deals with a problem that's very common with lots of young children, especially those children that are perhaps on the spectrum, as I rather suspect Max is, our titular character. Max needs to go to the hairdressers, but it's very noisy and it's very loud. And he's really not very happy at all, and gets very, very upset. However, luckily, the lovely Wendy, who's the hairdresser, manages to distract him, and she gives him a bubble blower to play with. And also she plonks a cat on his lap. Now, come on, anybody's going to be happy if they plonk a cat on his lap. Can't see my one at the moment, but as you well know, there may well be a cat will appear at some point in the evening. But Max and the Haircut is an absolutely lovely story, and it deals with a very common problem in a very gentle and understanding way. Holiday for Bear. I rather think I'm going to be reading this many, many times over the next week, because I am tomorrow picking up my 5-year-old granddaughter, and she's coming to stay for a week, and I think she's going to absolutely love this. This is one in a series of books about Bear. I think this is either number 5 or number 4. And in this one, Bear decides he's going to go on holiday. He decides he needs a rest, and he's going to go off on holiday, and he's going to enjoy himself. So he goes to the beach, which seems a bit of a strange place for a bear to go, but there you go. But he loves it. Absolutely loves it. The sun's shining, the sea is sparkling, and he's very, very happy. Apart from, he plays volleyball with some people at the beach, but it can't help remind him that his actual friends are not there, and it would be much nicer to play with his friends. And everything he does, he starts thinking more and more about his friends that he's left at home. So that in the end, Bear actually goes home, and he ends up having a staycation with all of his friends, which is just lovely. Absolutely lovely. And excuse me while I just have a sip of my drink. I've got a bit of a scratchy throat. I do hope you've all got your tipples with you. I've added Coke to my Jack Daniels tonight because, you know, I've got a lot of books to tell you about. Oh, but that is nice. Right, so When You Smile, this is beautiful, and it would make a perfect book to give to a new baby, because it is so warm and gentle, and it's all about the relationship between a little sloth and his mummy. And luckily his mummy always loves him, even when he's naughty, even when he's playing up. His mum has always got a smile for him. Definitely gives you the warm and fuzzies, this one. It's lovely, absolutely beautiful book. Okay, just let someone else in. This one's more of it's a mix of fiction and non-fiction. This is all about some lovely plants in the garden and about how they are all quite happy to be together, but they all need different things. They all need different foods and they all need different care. What I love about this one is that there are some really useful pages in the back about growing your own plants and things you can do in your own garden. And I know Cassie, my granddaughter, is going to love this. She loves gardening with her mum, so I think this one's going to go down really well. Okay. Right. Where's my... Hold on. I'll keep letting people in at the same time. There we go. Let's click back on here. There we go. My picture book of the time, and it's moved back, so it should have been on this one. There we go. Let's do that again. There we go. This is, I would say, my favourite picture book that I have been sent in the last 6 weeks. It's called Princess Pete, and it's all about a small child called Pete who is not sure whether he would like to be called a girl or whether they would like to be called a boy, because he likes doing all sorts. They like doing all sorts of things. They like playing with balls and getting muddy, and they also like wearing makeup and putting on flowery dresses, or maybe wearing trousers another day. And it's a absolutely gorgeous book about diversity, about accepting who you are, and about not having to identify as absolutely anything, to be fair. Just being a kid. This is the one that I would definitely be buying for other small children. It really did blow me away. Then, yeah, this one is a spin-off from a television series, which is all about unicorns. It's okay. It's a nice story. I know Cassie's just going to pounce on it because anything to do with unicorns, and that girl absolutely loves it. But it's got a really nice message about friendship and loyalty and looking after your friends. Go. The Fawn Who Chased the Sun. Now, this is a stunning gift book, and I'm just wondering whether it is up here. Oh, it might be around somewhere. There are so many books in here. This is a gorgeous hardback book. It's quite a tall book, and it's got stunning illustrations, absolutely stunning illustrations. And the writing is, it reads almost like a poem. It's such a lyrical story. And it's all about realizing what things are important in your life and holding on to those things, and not getting too caught up in silly little things that are perhaps annoying. Definitely very fable-like, and as I say, it would make a great present for somebody, that one. Well, this one, my goodness, this one. Now, I wasn't sent this one. I found this one in Waterstones, Piccadilly, and it is up there behind me. There you are. It is stunning. This picked it up, looked at it, realized how stunning it was, and was on the way to the checkout to buy it when I realized it's actually written by Leigh Bardugo, which I was quite shocked at because, you know, she mainly does YA. So I was quite shocked at the fact that she's done a picture book. Having said that, this is a picture book that I would say will work better with older children, because it's about grief. It's about the Day of the Dead, and Calla, the young protagonist, she didn't really want to go to Day of the Dead. celebrations because she doesn't see that there's anything to celebrate. Because as far as she's concerned, you know, she's in mourning for her lost grandfather and she doesn't see that there's any reason to celebrate. Well, that's until she's on her way there and she's walking through the graveyard and she meets, would you believe, as you do, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And they all teach her different things. Now, the images in it, can you just nod? You can still see my picture, can't you? As well as seeing. Thanks, Kerry. Right. There we go. This is the beauty of this book. Look at that. It is absolutely stunning. And in fact, as we get along to the end of it, there is, I mean, the screen's not wide enough for me to show you it, but you'll get the idea. This one opens out into, look at that, a full 4-page spread. It is just amazing. And it is, in fact, something that I'm going to treasure. What I didn't realise as well, when I bought it, when I got it home, it's also signed. Oh, it's signed. Oh, my God. Yeah, I was very excited. I was very excited when I got home and realised it was signed because I hadn't realised that anyway. So it's not been out that long either. So, oh, yes, I've got somebody else that's called Bev Jones, and I know they're not. Hi, Carol.
Hi. I don't know why I've come up as Bev Jones because my name's usually on as Carol Lee.
No, it's my fault, love. I mucked something up, but don't worry about it. It's fine. You're here anyway.
I'm going to turn the light and look a bit dark compared to everybody else.
Lovely to see you here. Right, so next one. Now, tear warning. This book will make you sob if you are anything like me. It's by Michael Rosen, and in the same vein as his sad book, it talks about his grief after he lost his son some years ago when he was 18. He died of meningitis. And this is kind of a younger version of a book about grief for children that aren't quite ready to read his sad book yet. And there is a very wise cat in it that helps Michael to get over his grief. And it is based on his own cat, as it happens. And it is, well, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. It is beautiful. And it's certainly one that I will now be recommending to anybody that asks me, do I know any books about grief that I can recommend? Because it's perfection. Yeah, you would expect it to be. It's Michael Rosen, you know, you would expect it to be. But the illustrations more than match up to the beautiful words. Then we have A Home for Spark the Dragon. Yeah. Those of you that know me already know my passion for dragons, and it's going to come up several times this evening. This is the first time. This one is A Home for Spark the Dragon, and it's actually been written by Michael Sheen. Now, it's also probably quite well known about my general dislike for celebrity authors, okay? However, I do quite like Michael Sheen. And in actual fact, this book has been really well written, and some of the proceeds of it are going to shelter, because this is a book that focuses on homelessness. Poor Spark, his home up in the tree gets absolutely wrecked during a storm. And then he has to try and find himself a new home. And people let him sleep on their floors or sleep on the beds, but it never feels quite right. And he doesn't feel comfortable because it's not his own home. And eventually, luckily, there is a happy ending, because Spark does indeed find himself a new home. Hey, where are we now? Middle grade. For those of you that haven't been before, middle grade is a wide range. I tend to think of middle grade being from could be from year 4, 5, all the way up to year 8, because it just depends. Those borders between middle grade and YA are very muddled nowadays, but that's what I'm thinking of when I say middle grade, that sort of area. So I've kind of gone as far as possible from younger middle grade up to olders. So the first one, Salty Dog and Pals, The Storm and Other Stories. Again, this is going to Cassie because I think she'll love it. There are, I think there's 4 stories in here, and they're all about Kitty, the cat, and Bernard, the duck, and Salty Dog, and the adventures they go on. And they are very ordinary, everyday type adventures. So it's about, storms, and it's about having a bath, and it's about when they go Highland dancing. So it's very cozy, comforting, great for newly independent readers, which my Cassie is. My Cassie is reading on her own by now. So I think she'll really like this because she'll be able to read 1 story a night. Well, she probably won't at Nanny's because she'll read all the lot when she goes into her bedroom, and I'll pretend that I didn't know. But there you go. There you go. I'm a nanny. I'm allowed to do that. This one, the same. This one, Detective Kitty, is definitely great for those children that have just started to read themselves. And you can see the picture down there. This arrived, let me get it down and show you, with a card that has Librarian Kitty on it. Now, come on. As soon as I opened it, I was like, well, I like that. I do like that. And it was signed by the author. So yeah, I was very happy about that. And apparently Librarian Kitty is going to be along in future books. So I will be looking out for that. Yeah, it's very pink. It's a bit sparkly, but great fun. Great fun. I did enjoy reading that one. Then Buccaneers. No, Buccaneers. I only read this today. This is about 2 pirates, a young boy and his second mate, who is a rabbit. Of course, why not? Why would a rabbit not be a pirate? And it's a mystery story. And again, it's going to be the first in a series, and we need to try and solve the clues to find a missing chef who just happens to be a mermaid. Of course, why would she not be? So you've got trying to follow the clues, and I found it was a really good fun read. Perfect, as I say, for those early readers. The Unchosen One. Now, I found this quite funny, actually, because this is about Tassie is announced as she's going to be the chosen one. And let's face it, there are many, many books that are about the chosen one. And I've often thought, well, what if you don't want to be the flipping chosen one? Which, in fact, Tassie does not want to be the chosen one, because it also says in the prophecy that the chosen one will be mild-mannered, kind, and all of these other things. And that just is not our Tassie. Tassie is feisty. She's a great heroine. I thought she was absolutely adorable. But all she does most of the book is she's trying to avoid being a chosen one. So she also has a pet or a best friend called Spin, who is a griffin. My gosh, I was very chuffed that there was a griffin that was her best friend. Anyway, it does end up with, yes, she is the chosen one, but she's a very different chosen one. And by the end of the book, we realise that, yes, she's going to save the world, but she can do it her own way. She doesn't have to be governed by anybody else's ideas, which is absolutely fabulous. We've got quite a few Barrington Stokes this time, and this is my first one, which is Bobby Baines Ain't Playing, and it's by Bally-Rye. Now, I've known Bally-Rye for years and years and years, and I love him, and I love every book that he writes. So, I was a bit biased already, let's face it. I did really enjoy this, though. I was a bit nervous about it because it said it was about football. Now, footy lover, I ain't. I really ain't. There's a forum that I'm on at the moment that often goes on about football. Kerry, you might know the one. And to be fair, it goes over my head because I don't do footy. But having said that, this is a little bit different because this is about young Bobby, who's got a best friend, Maisie, who's a girl, and she's in a girls' football team. And they're very excited because a tournament is announced. And so they're all going to take part. But Maisie's team are not allowed to take part because they are girls. So it becomes a very empowering story because Bobby's not willing to sit back and let this happen because there's no reason why his friend shouldn't play. And in fact, he's better at football than he is. So he enlists the help of all of the other teams that are going to be playing in this tournament. And in fact, they all sit down and refuse to play because the girls aren't allowed to play. It's a lovely, empowering, great story. And I said to Bally that I'm really impressed with it. For me to be able to say that about a football story, come on, there aren't many people that'll get me to read a football story, but yeah, for Bally, I always would. Place of a Thousand Wishes. I loved this, surprisingly, because it's kind of got a bit of a historical feel. I'm not a historical fiction girly. It's not something I normally enjoy, but this one definitely has a bit of a Victorian feel to it, but it's also very magical. It's about a young boy who has an ice cream bike with his dad. His mum sadly passed away and they are very poor, and he is looking to help his dad all of the time until there is something that happens that is his fault and that he feels very guilty about. However, he then he gets a mysterious invitation to go to Manor of Darlington the Miraculous, who's a wish maker. When I say he's a wish maker, he creates bubbles that you can float wishes up in and they go up to the skies and it makes them come true. This would make an amazing film. I could see it happening in my head, and it sounded absolutely lovely. We do find out there is a family connection as well. There's a sibling rivalry going on, and there's a new friendship in it as well. Really lovely story. I did enjoy this one. Then are we on? This was funny, very funny. Spyglass Mastermind of Mayhem. I found it funny, but a lot of the kids that read it are going to totally miss it. They're going to totally miss it because there are lots of Easter eggs in it that refer to Bond films. Now, my husband is a Bond freak. I've seen just about every Bond film, at least 4 times. So whenever there was a little bit that tied in with the Bond film, I thought it was absolutely wonderful because I knew exactly what they were talking about. Now, most of the kids will say they won't know. They really won't know. But there were lots of puns as well, as you can see. There's an arch villain who's a podiatrist of all things, and all the chapters have got a different punny chapter heading. I liked the League of Extraordinary Foot Care best because League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is one of our favourite films. I did enjoy it. It's about a young boy who is becoming a spy and all of the adventures he has. And there's lots of gadgets that are taken straight out of Bond. It was just such a homage that I think as an adult, you'll enjoy it just as much as the kids are going to go for it because they're going to love it as well. Time Engine. It doesn't say on there who they meet, does it? No. Okay, right. So when the Time Engine is about a young boy who finds a machine hidden in his attic, and he realised that his mum, who he had thought was just a stay-at-home mum and was to his chagrin, he realises that she wasn't just a mum and she isn't just a boring mummy, but in actual fact, she's been having a whole secret life. This machine that he finds actually has the ability to let him travel in time. And he also discovers that his mum's ancestor was Ada Lovelace. and he is absolutely blown away by this. And his mum had been trying to create this time machine, but there was something that she couldn't quite get right, which in fact Eric does get right. And he travels back in time to meet his ancestor. He meets Ada Lovelace and he tells her that her machine works, etc., etc. Really, really lovely. The thing is with Barrington Stoke, you know, how they manage to fit such amazing stories in such short books, I will never know, because I never feel that I'm being shortchanged when I'm reading Barrington Stoke. You know, the authors that I have writing for them are just excellent at getting all of that adventure into a nice short story. Okay. There we go. This is my top middle grade read of the past 6 weeks because it's called The Last Dragon House. Does that give you a bit of a clue? It is about a young boy who the only job in his town is to work in a factory, and he's only 12, but at the age of 12, all of the children have to go out and work because they've got to make money for their families. And he spies a tiny, tiny little lad on a job board asking for people to apply for this job, but only if they are fearless and can deal with a variety of jobs. Having gone for the interview, he then ends up working for Dr. Lady in the Dragon House, and she runs a huge house, which is a home for dragons. Oh my God, be still my beating heart. It was just so lovely. And there are all different types of dragons, and they all do different things. And then there's an accident. Well, it's not actually an accident. There's a poisoning, and Dr. Lady becomes very, very ill. And Ollie has to go off and on a quest to find some medicine for her. But in the meantime, his younger sister's getting involved as well. I'm very much hoping this is the first one in a series because I need to know what happens next, because it ends on a bit. Well, I kind of got to the end of it and went, yeah, but that's good, but that's still happening. So, you know, I'm looking forward to the next one of this. Absolutely loved it. Definitely. It's not out just yet. Girls Guide to Spying. This has been very popular over social media. This is Holly Webb's one. And again, it is historical basis. It's set during the First World War. And it's based on true stories of what Girl Guides were pressed into service doing during the First World War. Now, I never knew anything about this, but apparently there were some Girl Guides that were employed in the ministry to be runners, and they were taking messages all around to different government parties and all sorts of things. Never realised that. I'd never realised that at all. This is about two feisty girls, Phil and Annie, and something happens. Somebody goes missing, and they rather suspect there's been foul play, which in actual fact is proven to be correct. There has indeed been some foul play, and with the help of their friends, they solve the mystery and make sure that the miscreant, well, the murderer, in fact, is brought to justice. Lovely, empowering story with some history thrown in as well, which did, as I say, encourage me to go away and go, well, is that true? Did that really happen? Well, yes, it did. So there you go. Sent me off to do a bit of research, which is never a bad thing. Museum of Lost Umbrellas. Again, this was so nice. And I was sorry that I hadn't read it sooner, because it's been out for a couple of months, but it's been sat on my shelf and I hadn't got around to reading it. It's basically a love song to libraries. So, you know, come on, I was going to love it. But it's about a library that has lots of unusual artifacts in it, including said umbrellas. And these umbrellas are the receptacles that people have put their magic into. And it's set on a remote island, and there was a vote that banned people from using magic. And so all the things in this library are things that hold magic, and they are being held there to stop people using their magic, which Dilly soon changes. This all changes by the end of it, but there were whole passages of it that I wanted to keep and put up on the wall about the power of libraries and community and everything else. Really well written. Did enjoy that one. Has to be said, I do enjoy everything that I put up here. If I really hated a book, I wouldn't show it. Okay. So, you know, I do only show the ones that I love, but there isn't anything that I haven't shown this time. Clem Fatale has been upstaged. Eva Zocchi Morris, I love her books anyway. Again, this one is set in London in 1951, but it's set in the London Palladium, which, being a musicals girl, I loved that as a setting. And there is a very glamorous singer who I kind of thought of as a bit Doris Day in my mind, and she's kidnapped, and then she's one of a twin. She's a twin, and her sister Judy actually hires this young girl Clem and her friend to find Betty. I'm not going to tell you the twist at the end, because there's a big twist at the end that I did not see coming, actually. But I really did enjoy all of the descriptions of these two kids running around London and of what London was like in 1951, because it paints a really good picture of what the city was like at that time. Little clue, all is not as it seems in that sisterly relationship. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, Creepy Araminta. Anne Fine. What can you say about an Anne Fine book? You know, you pick up an Anne Fine book, you know it's going to be good, and this is definitely no exception. This is about a little girl who was playing football in her bedroom with her best mate, and a muddy football gets kicked across the wall, makes a big mess, and so her mum tells her that she will have to go and buy a picture to cover it, because otherwise she's going to make her pay to have the whole room redecorated. So she goes off to a charity shop, as we should all do, goes off to a charity shop, manages to get a picture that's going to fit exactly right of a young girl, and it has the young girl's name on it, and the young girl's name is Araminta. However, all is definitely not as it seems, and shortly after putting the picture up in her bedroom, she starts having nightmares, and eventually her friend comes to stay. Her friend starts having nightmares. They're both having the same nightmare about this Araminta girl. So her mum comes in, takes the picture into her room, and indeed her mum obviously has nightmares as well. So in the end, they have to get rid of this picture. Very creepy, but just creepy enough, you know. So I wouldn't be too worried about younger kids reading it, because if they're okay with things that are slightly scary, then they're going to be fine with this. It's not that, you know, primary kids will be fine with this, I think, but very well written. Yeah, I need more Jack. Give me 1 minute. Oh, that's nice. Right. Yes, Jack Fire, people. If you've not had Jack Fire, it's lovely. Jack Daniel's Fire. It's very nice. Very cinnamony. There you go. Harry Kumar, Ultimate Superstar, very, very funny. And it's all about young Harry, who's 10 years old, who is 75% Indian, 25% French, and he's determined he's going to be a superstar. This is one kid that has a big attitude, and he's looking at the only ambition he's got in life is that he wants to be famous. He wants to be out there. He wants people to notice him, but he doesn't always go about it in the right way, bless him. He's a little bit clumsy, and does get into trouble quite a lot, does poor Harry. I would say, you know, he is definitely, I mean, he is described as having autism and ADHD, and I can certainly see those ADHD traits in him. Having recently realised myself that I have ADHD, yes, I can see that in Harry. He is just adorable. And all the time I was reading it, I could see kids that I've had it in the school where I used to work, and I was like, oh, that was that kid. Absolutely joyful. joyful. And they end up making a film, and there's a great message about teamwork and friendship running through it, as well as lots of fun facts about South Asian food and culture, which I really enjoyed. Definitely some things I want to cook, having read them in this book. Then we have, oh my God, people. I can't even begin. Okay. Matt Goodfellow, of course, everybody loved Matt's previous books, and they were a real viral sensation with primary schools. And this is his new one. It's even better than his previous books, if that's possible. The man goes from strength to strength, but this one, you need a box of tissues, guys. You know, don't just have one tissue. No, 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 no. You'll need a box. First novel, it's set over 6 weeks, and it's a year after this young boy has lost his mum, and his mum's died. And he's now living with his dad and his dad's girlfriend, and they've got another child. And it's just the most moving exploration of a child's grief that I've ever read in my life. It's ultimately very hopeful. And by the end of the book, there's this whole feeling of acceptance and love, and that is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, but it'll break your heart and put it back together again. I actually met Matt at an event a few months ago when I picked this up, and he said to me, it's the best thing I've ever written. And I went, oh, come on. You know, everything you've written before has been brilliant. It can't possibly be better. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And if this doesn't win all the awards in the next year, I want to know why, because it's absolutely amazing. Okay. Tom Palmer again, another name. You know what you're getting with Tom Palmer. This is another one of his war stories. It paints a very vivid picture of day-to-day life in 1940, and yes, it's about the children, and it's an adventure story about the kids and what happens, and there's some threats of an invasion, etc., etc. There's some very exciting bits with planes, but it's also about the main character's brother, who comes back from war as definitely not the same person that they were when they went to war. And that is something that is not often addressed in children's books. And okay, it's done with a light touch. It's not the main focus of the story, but it's very moving. It is very moving, because it does tell you, you know, not all of our boys that came back from war came back as right as rain. There were casualties, and it wasn't just physical problems they had, it was mental problems as well. My favorite character is actually the main character's friend, is a young girl called Miss Priscilla, who's a very well-to-do young lady. But even though she is, all she wants to do is she wants to grow up and become a fighter pilot. And all she meets all through this story is people saying to her, you can't do that, you're a girl. You can't do this, you're a girl. And Miss Priscilla takes no notice of that. And I don't mind admitting that I think if this was a real person, she'd have become a flipping fighter pilot, because this girl is so feisty that she doesn't take no for an answer. And I did really enjoy that bit of it. Okay. Oh, this is beautiful. I kept it over here because I knew I wanted to show it to you. This is a retelling of The Secret Garden, retold by Geraldine McCaughrean. Look at it. It's so pretty. Absolutely beautiful. I have also been listening to, of course, the advantage of anything you get from Nosy Crow is that there is always a free audiobook with it. So I've actually been listening to the audiobook over the last couple of days, which has been really nice because the audiobook's really well read as well. One to treasure. It's going away for Cassie, but when she's a tiny bit older, because I don't think she's quite old enough for it yet. Really beautiful retelling and does keep all of the facts of the original story. Here we go. Well, we're getting a bit darker now. Right, so Ben's Gargoyle, which comes out in a couple of weeks. This is by Keith Gray. Of course, it's getting darker. It's Keith Gray. Come on, you don't expect it to be all sweetness and light if it's been written by Keith Gray. But this is a creeping sense of menace through this one. Very ominous. And this is a bullying dad that gets his comeuppance. So, yeah, it's dark. This is very dark. Ben has had to move and live with his dad, and his dad makes him live in the attic because he doesn't want the landlord to know that Ben's there, because otherwise he'll charge him more money. There's also some abuse in that from the father to the son. Ben is quite a quiet lad. But when he's looking out of his attic window, he keeps seeing what he thinks is a gargoyle, but it's moving. And he's convinced it's moving. And in the end, he runs down to his dad and tells him, at which case his dad, totally makes the fun of him and says, you're imagining it. Well, no, let's just say he's not imagining it. And this does not end well. This story for Ben's dad, it does not end well. So perfectly crafted that I didn't guess what was going to happen until it actually did happen. And then it was a bit of a shock, I have to say. I wouldn't say primary, that's a secondary, this one, because it is a bit dark. As is Soul Feeder. Soul Feeder, again, it's Jennifer Killick. She is the queen of horror for Key Stage 2 and 3. And this one is about a lad called Caden who helps his dad in house clearing. And they go into a house to clear it where they know that an old lady has died in very strange circumstances. And they find some very weird artifacts, including some what seems to be stuffed heads of mythical creatures. Yeah, it's not nice. And they take all of these things back to their warehouse, where he and his friend have got a den in the warehouse. And let's just say something they've brought back into this warehouse is not a nice thing. And it does get a little bit scary. So, yeah, again, I'd say secondary with that one, definitely. Graphic novels. Oh, I've been so lucky this time. Don't always get graphic novels. I have had some graphic novels this time. We have Mighty Mega Pets Freaky Food Fiasco, which is a joy. It's extremely silly, really silly, but such good fun. It did make me giggle at several parts. It's all about the importance of teamwork, not letting power go to your heads, and standing up to bullying. Again, I think, yeah, younger children will love it, but it will go up into year 7 and 8 as well. It really doesn't matter. It's not going to be an age thing, that one. Then we have Unfairies. This is the second one in the Unfairies series. It's very silly, but in a more sarcastic way. I'd put this at year 7. Because although it looks quite young, there's bits in it that I think if they're in primary, they're going to miss it because it's a bit sarcastic. It's really funny and enjoyable. The next one, if it is the one I think, yeah, well, people, look at it. It's so good. Again, as many of you know, I am a rocker. This is a Alice Cooper graphic novel. So if you've got kids in your school that are into rock, they will go mad for this graphic novel. Now, it's not new. The reason I found it, I've mentioned before, and I'll put the link up again later. Waterstones have a clearance site whereby if you go onto the Waterstones clearance site, which they really do not advertise that well, they have lots of books on there that go from £1 up to about a fiver. So I go on regularly, and that's where I found this Alice Cooper one. You would have thought, being as it's an Alice Cooper graphic novel, that I'd be saying to you, oh, it's only for older kids. There's nothing in there. There's nothing. There's not even any swearing in there. How good's that? There aren't any naked boobs. There's none of that. There's no biting the head off bats or anything nasty like that, as you would expect with such a rocker. And it is a good versus evil story. It's Alice Cooper against the devil. Of course it is. It's, put it this way, that's not one that's coming off of my shelves anytime soon. That is going on my graphic novel shelf, and it's staying with me because I loved it. Just loved it. This is the latest from Ren James, and it is a graphic novel. It's kind of a romantasy, but not really. It's a bit friends into lovers, but they don't actually become lovers. But it's about two people that were enemies before, and they had special powers, and they had to save the world. But what happens after the world's saved? Well, then they have to go back to uni, and they end up having the same room, same shared dorm, and they have to learn to get on. And then there is a mystery as well that they have to share, to solve together. And it's all about getting on and finding the good in other people. I really enjoyed it. I think the only thing I didn't like, this is one of the graphic novels that's all like black and white pages. And personally, I prefer something that's got some colour in it. But, you know, that's just a personal preference. Story, great though. And especially for those kids that you've got that are desperate to start reading the romantices, but that you think are a little bit too spicy for them, you could certainly start them on this one, because it's got nothing in there that's going to frighten the horses. Definitely not. Again, I always get gorgeous factual books sent me. This History's Youngest Heroes, which is up there behind me somewhere, is amazing. It's got 50 stories of young people that are doing amazing things in the world, from activism, athletes. Yes, okay, there's lots of people that you'll have heard of, but what was more pleasing and what I enjoyed most was reading about kids that I didn't know about. Kids that have done amazing stuff in the world, and I'd never heard of them. It's highly illustrated as well, so it's a good one for dipping in and out of. You don't have to read it all at one time. These two are two in a series. There's Dinosaurs and Big Machines. And again, they've got gorgeous pop-up pages and pages that come out so that it's 4 pages long. Lots and lots of facts in tiny little, easily digestible nuggets. So again, they'd be great for kids that want to, you know, they've got slightly butterfly minds. They want to go in and read a little bit and then come back another time. Your Guinness World of Records readers will love this sort of thing, because it's just dip in and out all the time. And they're both illustrated beautifully, really interesting facts as well. And I'm kind of expecting I'm going to learn lots of those facts in the next 2 weeks with next week with my Cassie, because she loves anything to do with dinosaurs. All in the Mind is all about your brain and the way your brain works. Starts off with a real bang. There's a whole passage of writing that is written in a way that you shouldn't logically be able to understand, but our brains can understand. because the letters in the words are all muddled up in different places. And I found that absolutely fascinating because I could read it no problem. And it's only when I went back and looked at it, I thought, oh, blimey, oh, that looks a bit strange because the letters are all jumbled up. So it's great because it does tell you lots of facts. Again, it's great for dipping in and out. I think this would go primary or secondary. I don't think it's an age thing. I think this would be enjoyed by any kid that's fascinated by facts. This one, again, going to be looking at this over the next week because this is a first cookery book. And lovely illustrations. But what I like about it is it's family cooking. You know, it's not just, you know what I mean? Sometimes when you look at cookery books for kids, it's jam sandwiches or it's cookies, you know, or all the classic things, which, yeah, okay, they're fun to make. But this is actually family meals that they can cook for the family, which I thought was a great idea. And I've already been through and gone, oh, yeah, I'd like to cook that. I'd like to cook that. So I'll feed back after we've cooked some of them this week, because I know we're definitely going to be dipping into that one. It won't stay here. It'll go home with her, but there you go. I fully admit I've not read these two books, but I do know how much they're loved by kids. And these two they're actually reissues of one on Pele and one on Maradona, but these are what they call the Classic Football Heroes Elite editions. They've got beautiful shiny foil front covers. They've got a football card in front of them. There we are. Look, they're pretty foil covers. There we are. There's a football card in the front, packed full of facts. It's even got a QR code so that you can go on and do some bits on the computer as well. So yeah, for those that love them, they will go mad for them. Just not me. There you go. But I do know that close friend who's in a primary school says that her kids are just mad on these books. So great to have some new editions of them. Kid in my class, yeah, I've had a few poetries this time as well. Poetry is one of my great loves. I'd seen this one before because I had it in hardcover. This is the paperback that's come out now. It's poems by Rachel Rooney, and Chris Riddell has illustrated them. Well, you know, what more do I need to say, really? Chris Riddell's illustrated them, so obviously I had to have it. Lovely, lovely poems. And I'm sure, see, the poems in this, it's kind of targeted towards both the kids and the adults, because I read through it going, oh, I knew a kid like that. I know who I'd say was that kid, because you'll see the poems are about different types of kids, and you will recognize these kids. Believe me, you'll be going, yeah, I know, I taught a kid like that. On the Streets of New York is poems about New York. Now, I have never been to New York. I am desperate to go to New York at Christmas because, you know, Christmas freak, but I have not yet been. But this poetry book gives you a really good flavour of the city. It takes you around and shows you different places. There are lots of different facts in there that I had no idea of. As I say, it says there, Statue of Liberty's full name is apparently Liberty Enlightening the World. Who knew? I had no idea. But there are very bright, buzzy illustrations, and it's a great portrayal. I think it's a great portrayal. As I say, I've not been, but it's a really nice, large book as well. One to treasure, I would say. Then we have Fresh, which is by Rhiannon Oliver, and again, illustrated by Chris Riddell. It's for primary school kids, and it's all about the natural world, and it's about expressing your feelings and kindness. Now, I was surprised at this one because there are lots and lots of light-hearted poems in it, which I was really enjoying sitting there going through. And then there'll be one that hits you like a sledgehammer and brings the emotional depth. It's got black and white illustrations from Chris Riddell, absolutely beautiful, and it'll be great for jumping into when a kid's at different moods, because there's poems to read when you're happy, there's poems to read when you're sad or when you're feeling that you're being left out. Great for primary school libraries, that one. Okay, now, as always, not as many young adult because they take longer to read, but I have read quite a few this last time. This is the latest one in Dan Smith's series, the Night House stories, which are from Barrington Stoke. And I've loved all the previous ones, and this one was just superb. My God, is it creepy? It is really creepy. It's they get stranded in the middle of the desert. It's never good, is it? You know, if someone's got stranded in the middle of the desert, something's going to happen. And they get picked up by a trucker and taken to a long abandoned ghost town. And they go into this old building, which is called Dr. Kilgore's House of Horrors, which is kind of a waxworks. Let's just say they're not all waxworks. And there are dead bodies in these scenes, and there are chase scenes, and oh my God, it was flipping scary. Dan Smith is a master of this sort of story. Yeah, I couldn't wait to read it when I got it. And then when I'd finished it, I almost wanted to go back and start reading it again because I'd enjoyed it that much. But yeah, it's definitely scary. This one, I went to the launch of this some weeks ago, Lucas Maxwell's A Million Tiny Missiles All at Once, because of course Lucas is one of us. Lucas is a school librarian, and this is his first novel. It's very funny. What I thought was obviously what made me enjoy it more was going to the launch, because Lucas was telling us about how lots of things in it are semi-autobiographical, and they're about things that happened in his own life when he was growing up in Canada. And in fact, there's a character in it that is very much like his late brother, who died some years ago. And it's, how can I put it? It says a lot without using that many words, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of hidden depth to this story. And I think you need to read it carefully in order to get that depth. But brilliant as a debut novel. Absolutely brilliant as a debut novel. And I'm sure Lucas is going to go on from strength to strength after this one. Well, I hope he's writing more. I think he will. I think he'll write more. This is the book that injured me. I said at the beginning that I've got trapped nerves in my neck, and I've also got a rotator cuff injury. What that was caused by was holding a book like this in this hand for 5 hours because I couldn't put it down. Now, doesn't that sound ridiculous? Because I got up the next morning and I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm a little bit sore. Yeah, I've been in agony ever since. So Patrick Ness, I'm coming for you the next time I bump into you, because I'm really not happy. This is a return to the Chaos Walking universe. And I was a little bit worried. I thought, now, do I need to go back and read the previous books? Because it was a long time ago that those books came out. And I'm thinking, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get on. Tell you what, 2 chapters in, I was there. I was back in that universe. I was absolutely obsessed with it. And as I say, I did not move for 5 hours. I just sat there and soaked it in. For me, it's a return to brilliance for Patrick Ness. That's not to say his other books aren't good, because I'm not saying that at all. But the Chaos Walking series was always my favourite of his books. They were my favourite of his books, and this is a definite return to it. And lovely thing is, it's the start of a new trilogy. So there will be a couple of others coming after it. I will read those more carefully, however, because I don't want to injure myself again. But there you go. Summer for the Night Before, Lisa Williamson, a very popular YA author, as we know. This one is very important. It's about consent, It's about the problems that can arise when young people get far too drunk and don't remember what they're doing. And it's about that girls do, or anyone does not have to explicitly say no for it to be an abusive action. If somebody is that drunk that they cannot say yes or no, that is still abuse. And that is what's at the heart of this whole story. It made me angry. It made me sad. But it also made me see both sides of the story, because it does describe how the female feels, and it also describes how the young boy feels. And yeah, it put a different complexion on it for me. It's an important story, and I think it should be read by all young people, because for goodness sake, they need to know the things that can happen. Lisa Williamson, brilliant writer. Tom Byrne has left the chat. Definitely secondary. Trigger warnings, suicide, depression, older kids, I would say, for this one. It was very dark, very moving. It's got a lot to say about the effects of social media on young people, and both the negative and the positive side that social media can have on young people. Really, really moving, understanding portrayal of depression. And as I say, yes, there is suicide at the beginning of it. So it is very dark. And when it's such a dark book, it always seems a bit weird to say I enjoyed it. And I don't like to say I enjoyed it, because I don't think I did enjoy it, because I found it a very hard read. But I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and would be a great one in a secondary library. Okay, where are we? Oh, I'm not quite finished this, and I'm absolutely loving it. Totally cozy, lovely, magical story. It's all about a young girl that goes off to her great aunt's bed and breakfast, and it's all run down, and there only appears to be 3 guests. And it takes her flipping forever to realise that it's a magical B&B. I realised really early on, of course I did. She did not realise for a long time. And then she finally realises that, okay, there's something a little bit strange about the whoever it is in room 10, because they never come out in the light and this sort of thing. Anyway, it's great fun. At the moment, as I say, I think I'm about 2/3 of the way through. Very cozy, very gentle. So there's nothing in it that I would say I wouldn't let year 7 and above read. You know, if they're into this cozy magical fantasy is very in at the moment, isn't it? There's quite a lot of stuff on TikTok with these cozy magical books, and I think this is one of the best ones. I am listening to it. So no, I haven't got one of these beautiful sprayed edges editions, but I think I might have to have one. There you go. It's got sprayed edges. It's got to be on my shelves. It's as simple as that. So I may well have to buy it. Now this one I passed on to somebody in this chat. There you go. Kerry's got it there with her. I loved this. Absolutely loved it. It's an adult book, but you know, YA, they'd enjoy it as well. There's nothing in there that I wouldn't let a kid read, but it is all about the love of books and the love of libraries and books and people. And yeah, there's a bit of a romance as well, but forget that. It's about the books. It was just a joy, an absolute joy, and I really enjoyed it, and you need to read it. It's perfect for a holiday read, just a chill out read. It's absolutely wonderful for that, I think. Where's it gone? Oh yes, oh yes, this is the second one in this series, and the first one I read absolutely adored, because it's about dragons, but it was set at Bletchley Park. And I loved that whole marriage of the fantasy, but the real life things that happened at Bletchley Park, because it was very similar, because they were deciphering codes in the first one, but it was dragon languages they were deciphering. So this second one, I was kind of like, am I going to enjoy it just as much? Yeah, of course I did. I absolutely loved it. Again, listen to it on audiobook, which was wonderful, apart from walking through my local town one day, because I've taken to walking every day and listening to an audiobook. Walking through my local town, let's just say there was a death, and I was walking through the town sobbing, tears coming down my face. I had two people stop me and say, "Are you all right?" And I was going, yeah, book, yes, it's fine. I was very embarrassed because, yes, I was crying walking along. There is a line in it, yeah, she doesn't like to sleep alone. If you read it, look out for that line, because it'll kill you. It will absolutely kill you. It was, oh my goodness. And I've got to wait for the next one till next January. And I'm really fed up about it because it was amazing. Haven't yet got it, but there is a beautiful sprayed edge ones in Waterstones, which has got my name on it. I think I'm going to keep it. I've been putting off reading this because I wanted to read it so much. I wanted to read it at a time when I knew that I'd have time to binge it, really. And I read it on the way up to an event I'm going to tell you about in a minute, and on the way back from said event. And it's by William Hussey, and you may have read some of his YA stuff. Of course, The Boy I Love is on the shortlist for Carnegie. I am keeping everything crossed, literally everything crossed. I will be sat in that ceremony crossing my toes and fingers, I think. Love all of Bill's stuff. And this one, though, is sort of a bit different for him. It's whodunit. Bill Hussey is obsessed with Agatha Christie. And this kind of almost reads as a bit of a homage to Agatha Christie. There's an awful lot of the elements of Christie in it. I really, really loved it. And what I'm amazed at is that he can write such different books and turn his hand to any style. If you haven't read his Scott Jericho books, which are also written for, I'd say, yeah, above young adult and into adult audience, then I can't recommend enough. Go and read the Scott Jericho books, because they're just amazing. And this one is just so different to it, but it's just as good. Just as good. The Scott Jericho ones are a bit horror. So if you're into horror and fairgrounds, as I am, then you'll love them. But this was very Agatha Christie. Okay, this is the big event that I was going to tell you about. Last week, I was lucky enough to be invited to go up to the first ever Canvassador Summit in Birmingham. And oh my God, guys, what an amazing 2 days. And I don't mind telling you, I nearly didn't go. And I nearly didn't go because I didn't know anyone. And I can be a little bit nervous of that. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And after I'd given myself a good talking to, went along. I tell you what, I could not have wished to meet a nicer group of people. The only way they could have been nicer is if they'd have been librarians, because, you know, we all know we're lovely. But fabulous people, and people that are doing just amazing things in education, and that was so giving, and we had such fun. There was even some, yeah, well, we won't go into the karaoke, Kerry? We had a bit of an interesting evening after some people went back to the hotel, let's put it that way, what with drag queens and, yeah, all sorts of things. But it was amazing, and it was all about, obviously, the new stuff that Canva's bringing out and the new stuff that's already come out. The reason why I want to tell you about it, guys, was the second day we did something that we were working on, our crazy big ideas and things that we wanted to work on in the next 6 months. And my crazy big idea was, of course, libraries based, because I adore Canva, love Canva, use it every single day. But as a librarian, it's not got as much content for us that I want it to have. You know, if you're looking at templates and things, loads of stuff for teachers, tons and tons of stuff for teachers, absolutely amazing stuff for teachers. But you go on there and try and find templates for librarians, and there really isn't anything. So my crazy big idea is over the next 6 months is I want to be designing templates, resources, etc., and get us a dedicated place on Canva for librarians. And I stood up and presented about it, and I was crapping myself, guys. I really was, and it probably showed, but there you go. But got some really, really good feedback. Thank you for saying that, Kerry. I've got some really good feedback, and people were really positive about it, because, you know, we are the forgotten ones, aren't we, in education a lot of the time. And so marrying my love for Canva and my love for school librarians is just blissful to me. So what I would like you to do, can you have a think and think about, are there any templates or resources that you would really like to use, that you would find helpful on Canva? And can you please then email me with your ideas so that I can work on some of them? And if one of them is going to be, can you design a double-sided bookmark? I've already done it, guys. Email me. I'll send you the template link, because it's something that took me ages and ages and ages. So if you ever want to do yourself a double-sided bookmark, I can send you the template. But yeah, I'd really like some feedback from you guys as to what you would find useful, so that I can direct the things that I'm designing to that. But yeah, oh, and also, I am running my next Canva course on the 7th of July. As usual, you can come on the day, or it will be recorded, and you will have access to that recording all the way up to September. So that if you can't come on the day, you can always watch it afterwards. I will be hopefully talking to a very nice lady called Jade and getting some Canva swag to send out to people. Last time it was notebooks and pens, and believe me, their pens are just to die for. Lovely pens, Canva. So our next Let Link Up is going to be on the 10th of July. I've also put the link on there to the Waterstones clearance site, in case any of you haven't seen it before, because I've got to tell you, it'll save you a lot of money. Well, no, you'll spend a lot of money, but it will be bargains. There you go. And there's also a Peters discount code on there. If you are ordering books from Peters and you would like a 30% discount, please do use my discount code, and you will get the full discount on that. But I hope you've got some recommendations from that session. It's a bit of a longer session this time, because I don't know why, I was just talking a lot, weren't I? But there you go. But I hope you are all ready for a nice long week off. And hope you got your books ready to read. As I say, I've got to finish a few, and then I don't know what I'm going to treat myself to reading next, to be fair. Looking up there, as if I just turn that around, there's my to be read. So, you know, I've got a few to choose from, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to go with next, but I'm sure I'll enjoy. Oh, what have we got there? Oh, that Librarians of Picardy one. My daughter-in-law's mum emailed me yesterday and said, had I got it, and she's keeping it for me. So great. Yeah, that might well be one of mine this week as well. Librarians of Rue Picardy. It looks amazing. Nightingale. And the other one is, oh, you've got a good range there. Good range of age groups. Fabulous. There we go. Don't forget, you know, if you've read anything that's amazing, you want me to include it in the next one, or, you know, you can always put things in the chat, but you can always email me as well. Book Blethering's what I love doing. We all know this. And I hope you have a great week off, everybody. You all deserve it. And thanks very much for coming along, and see you next time. Bye for now.